The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
All right, man. The My Backstory podcast with Hunter Charneski in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is my first time here, bro. So
yeah, glad to have you.
Yeah, dude.
Wish we had better weather for you.
No, it's not bad. What are we, 66, 65 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. I think it looks pretty cool.
This is one of the better days that we've had lately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yesterday was pretty cloudy and shit, but today looks pretty good. I saw like dead turkeys on the side of the road, and I was like, dude, I'm definitely like in a different state because you don't see that shit.
You're in the Midwest for sure.
Yeah. Turkeys. I saw a bunch of Canadian geese with their little ducklings and shit, and I'm like, cool, man.
Just crossing the street doing their thing.
Not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Anyway, so yeah, bro, I want you to share your story with everyone, your backstory, if you will, your upbringing. You know, how you got into sprinting. Mm-hmm. You're a massive dude, so to see you sprinting is like, it's fucking cool, to be honest with you, man.
It's an anomaly, right?
Yeah, it totally is, dude. Because you don't see it every day. You usually see these tall, lanky, or short, dudes that are sprinting, not like big old monsters like you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want you to share that story, how you get into it, why you get into it, and kind of what you're up to now and where you're heading,
Yeah. So what got me into sprinting, Josh, was I'm the owner of a facility here in town, Freak Faktory Barbell and Sports Performance, and we pride ourselves on the development of speed. Mm-hmm. We just celebrated being 3 years being in business on May 2, and when we first opened, and after my playing career at Grand Valley School here in town, I needed something to fill the competitive void in me. And so I was bouncing around doing some different programs, whether it was, 5-3-1 or, the conjugate method made famous by Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell. And I decided to become a powerlifter. I liked it. I was never the best football player. I was above average. I was good enough to start for 3 years, but it was anything that I was more of a process guy, a product guy, if you will. So I loved putting in the work. I loved the winter conditioning sessions and getting in the weight room and all that stuff. So naturally I thought, well, there's a sport that can allow me to do that, just lift heavy weights. Let's go do that. So I became a power lifter for, I probably dabbled around with that for 2 years, did 4 or 5 meets. And after a meet in October of 2017 in that building right there, the DeVos place, I kind of had a shameful moment with myself. I being the owner of a facility that prides itself on the development of speed for today's youth, middle school, and high school athletes, and being a guy that was almost 300 pounds, right? I just looked at myself in the mirror, Josh, and I said, "You're a liar. You're a liar." Right?
Yeah.
And so that was when I called my friend Derek Hansen, who, if the listeners don't know, Derek was mentored by Charlie Francis, who I don't think there's any debate that Charlie was the best developer of speed to ever live. And so that was Derek's mentor. And I'm biased because Derek is my friend, but I believe that he is the best when it comes to speed on planet Earth. And so I called him and I said, Derek, I need your help. I need to feel what my athletes feel. Maybe become a coach perhaps for the very first time in developing speed. I want to be able to relate to them at a better level there. And so we got to work, and Derek took me under his wing, and he started coaching me remotely, sending me programs. And it was one of the more humbling processes I've ever been through. I've had more injuries the past 18 months than I'd like to admit, whether it was strained hamstrings to torn plantar fascia, Achilles, pectineus. My right calf is deformed now, right? I mean, you're taking a guy that, like I said, was 300 pounds. You're trying to get him to run fast in a straight line. You're gonna have some obstacles along the way. But per Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way, each injury, each setback provided an immense learning opportunity.
Right.
So it's like, okay, is this pain or is it a puzzle? Right. So whether it was my calves or my plantar fascia or my hamstrings, Derek is a wizard at his return to play protocols. And so we would go through these things and I would get back. If I strained my hamstring, Josh, it was, 7 days, where you see most people they're laid up for 6 to 8 weeks. It's It's like, was there surgery involved? What's going on? Right. And so each time that I got myself hurt, it was a good opportunity to learn that return to play process. And now I can help my athletes if they, God forbid, ever get in that situation.
Right.
Right. But, it was good for me to, and it has been good for me to put myself in those positions. And so now I can relate. I can relate what it feels like to overcome inertia at the start if we're doing stuff for acceleration with the kids, or what it should feel like or shouldn't feel like at all, right, at max velocity, and things of that, and everything in between.
So do you think that old model of, or idea, I guess, or myth, if you will, of fast twitch and slow twitch muscles is bullshit? Because I used to always think I'm not a sprinter. I don't have fast twitch muscles, so. Or maybe I do have fast twitch muscles. I just never trained them. I was a football player, but I was always, on the D line or linebacker. I wasn't like a speed guy. You weren't seeing me in the, I wasn't a defensive back. I wasn't a wide receiver. Wasn't a running back. But is that something that you can take somebody like me or somebody like you and train those muscles to where you can be a speed guy?
I would say, yeah. Just because I'm living proof of it, right? Derek and I have taken a guy who wasn't fast, right, and now I'm running the sub 11.9s in the 100-meter dash. Yeah, right, at 254 pounds. Yeah. So I think it definitely can be trained. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who are genetically just have been dealt a better hand than others. Yeah. But I definitely believe that speed can be trained. And I've got it easy, right? We have little kids who we work with, right? And children, youth athletes, when it comes to their development, I liken them to a brand new tube of toothpaste. It doesn't matter what you do to them, Josh, you're going to get something out. Right. Right. Yeah. So, and then there's all the physiological stuff, right? So in order to run fast, you still need to run fast and train. That's one of the best ways to run fast, right? Yeah. It's just simply running really, really fast in a straight line. And then there's other ways you can do it, whether it's, aerobic tempo running, which can keep blood in contact with the tissue for longer periods of time. And over time, those slow twitch fibers will begin to develop characteristics of the faster type 2B fibers there as well. So
what's your supplement regimen for a sprinter and for you personally?
Pretty much the only thing I really take as far as supplements go is just whey protein and some creatine monohydrate.
Really?
That's about it.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. Having friends like Jeff Nichols and Zamia Cohen in the industry, they know what they're talking about when it comes to food. Yeah, whatever they tell me, that's what I put in my mouth.
Oh, absolutely, man. Mm-hmm. That's good shit. So when you got out of powerlifting was after football, right? Mm-hmm. So you're playing football, you get into powerlifting, and then you started the gym, what's it called again? I'm sorry.
Freak Faktory Barbell and Sports Performance.
Fuck yeah. So you started that? Mm-hmm. And then when you started, you were like, dude, I need to see what these guys are going through. So I'm gonna get on the track, figure it out. Yeah.
Like I said, it was October 17. I should have been feeling good about myself. Like I won best raw lifter of the day, right, for men's heavyweight. Like I should have been feeling good. Right. But I came home like, dude, what the fuck am I doing? Right. Yeah. So, and now it's an absolute blast. Well, I got another race coming up on June 8th, one of the Open Championships over in Olivet, Michigan. So that'll be it's a completely different rush. Now, when you're on the platform and it's you and that weight and there's nobody else can help you. Don't get me wrong, that's a cool feeling.
But, for sure.
But when that gun goes off and you feel people right next to you, their energy, and you're traveling at 10 meters a second.
Right. What's your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like for you, what would be okay, I've reached that pinnacle of success, whatever success means to you.
As far as the sprinting is concerned?
As far as everything, sprinting, as far as your business, as far as life. I mean,
Yeah, I would say that success for me would be doing what I want as much as I want with who I want, where I want.
Okay, I like it.
So I don't know what that dollar amount is,
Right.
but I'm sure that money will be a vehicle that will help me get there.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
You plan on staying in Michigan? Or are you trying to get out or what?
To be honest, Josh, I mean, I am trying to get out.
Yeah,
I am trying to get out.
And-
it has served me very well here, and now I'm just in the process of putting systems in place to empower those that work for me to not need me anymore, so they can get closer to their ideal life, whatever that may be for them.
So you're going to keep the company here and have somebody else essentially run it, and then you'll move elsewhere and then open another one there, or what?
Well, yeah, if I were to move somewhere else, that would probably be just mainly my other business, my online business, which is Charneski Power Coaching and Consulting.
Right.
So whatever that brings online. Now that I do some downloadable programs for people who want to try running for themselves. Yeah. And all that good stuff. But what really sets my soul on fire as of late would be like what I did this past Sunday. I went down to Chicago. A friend of mine, Ross Oberlin, hired me in to do a one-day in-service for them and just build out their speed program. Right. And just solve a huge, weak spot problem for a gym like that. That's what I really like to do. So if I could do more of that, that'd be awesome.
What's the sprint or die hashtag? What is it about sprinting for you that you feel is like super important?
It's the highest form of physical activity, right? Yeah, it really is. We can get so much better at just about everything else. If you are able to effectively sprint, at max velocity, everything else, in training or life becomes easier to accomplish and B, easier to recover from. Right. It's, I mean, Derek had a great presentation quote, talking about animals, but I still thought it was brilliant. It was, talking about, in the Sahara, whether if you're a gazelle, you need to run or you're going to get eaten. Right. And on the other hand, if you're a lion, you need to run or you're going to starve. Right. In either scenario, once the sun rises, you better be running. Yeah, for sure. Right? So, but yeah, it's primal. There's something to it. When you hit a really good rep and you enter that flow state. Yeah, that's some cool shit. You just went 60 meters like that, and you're like, it's all hindbrain. You just shift the subconscious, and everything just takes over. And then when you're done, you're like, okay, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, totally. That's an amazing feeling. Absolutely, man. I actually watching your stuff like got me to want to start running. Mm-hmm. So I've had this false narrative that I've always told myself that I'm just not a fucking runner. I'm just not a runner. We talked about it before the podcast, how I was looking at Jeff's programs, before I met Jeff. I had saw stuff online and I was like, I should check this programs out. And so I bought one of the programs and I look at it and I'm like, oh, well, I'm out. I immediately like disqualified myself because of some of the exercises that were in there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because of my back, and there's the narrative, the story that I've always told myself, I got a bad back. I can't fucking do it, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until recently where I was like, you know what, stop being a pussy and just do it. And I'm not trying to injure myself, but at the same time, it's like, you don't know what you're capable of until you try. Mm-hmm. So I started doing it. It's like, dude, I've never felt better. I'm like, dude, this is insane. And so same thing with the running. I've always told myself I'm not a runner and I fucking hate running. Mm-hmm. Can't stand it. So I'd always hike because I was like, oh, it's just better for my back. I just hike and it just, low impact, steady state. It's all good. So I went and bought like 4 different pairs of running shoes because I wanted to see which ones like felt better for my back, felt better on like just on my feet. And I was doing barefoot shoes for a while. So like after my surgery, I was working with a company called Move You Official. I don't know if you know who they are. No, I haven't. So they're all over Instagram and they have a website. They have a program that they built for like just pretty much anybody to like get your body like back into peak form. It's just proper body mechanics basically. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they always they're big fans of like barefoot shoes. So like I wore barefoot shoes. Like I hike in barefoot shoes. I walk in barefoot shoes. Everything was barefoot shoes. But I was like, dude, I'm not running in barefoot shoes. There's just no way. Because if I was born in the Sahara Desert or something like that, and I grew up with no shoes, then maybe, Right. But like, I just don't think it's smart for me to be running in barefoot shoes,
So I went and bought a bunch of shoes and I started running. I'm like, dude, fuck it, So eventually I want to work my way up to see if I can develop like speed. Mm-hmm. I know I can, but it's like going through the process of developing speed.
It's extensive.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually, it's funny. I have a buddy that I used to work with, and he was a tennis player. Almost went professional, like semi-professional. Played at UNLV. Super like good guy, but he has those fast switch muscles because you're on the tennis court. I mean, you're moving pretty quickly, And fast dude. He's like a gazelle, like little small dude. If he listens to this, he's gonna be pissed that I just called him a little small dude. But because I always give him shit about it. But anyway, so his name's David. So anyway, Dave one day was like, "Hey man, you want to race?" I was like, "Bro, I'll fucking smoke you, dude. You kidding me? Like, I'm not like slow, but I'm also not fast. I'm just like whatever speed, I guess. I don't know like where I would be on the 100-yard dash or anything. But anyway, so I took my shoes off because I felt like I'd run just better with my shoes off, and we were out on the asphalt, and I fucking had him off the line, like, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I got this motherfucker." I'm like grinding it out. And at the very end, it was so hilarious. At the very end, he goes by me right before the finish line. He's like, "Got you, bitch." Like, right at the end. And so afterward, he told me, he's like, "Bro, I got to tell you, man, like 5 back surgeries and you're running like that." He's like, "If you hadn't had any surgeries and you weren't modified at all," he's like, "I honestly think like you would be pretty fucking fit. You would beat me for sure." Mm-hmm. And that made me feel good. I was like, all right, cool. I guess I still got a little left in the tank. So that's kind of where I want to go. I want to see what I got, see what I have, get on the track and see what what I'm capable of, I got to beat that motherfucker too.
No, you got to.
I have to beat him now, you know, because he got me good, and the end, like, got you, bitch, at the end was
and that was with minimal training, right?
None.
0. Okay,
I wasn't training at all.
You could beat him.
At all, I wasn't training. So, like, I think during that time, I was just working. I don't think I maybe got into the gym a couple times a week. I wasn't working my legs at all just because I was scared to. So yeah, there's no training. I never run, like ever, not even on a treadmill. I was like, dude, I don't want to run. So he kind of said the same thing, like, dude, you're fucking, you don't train, you don't do shit. And like, you come out here and run that fast. Like, yeah, dude, you'll beat me. If you didn't have all these surgeries, you'd beat me. So it's like, okay, now I've had 6. Now what's up, bitch?
Right.
Yeah. So no, I want to work with you, dude, because I want to beat this guy, dude. Just so I can be like, yeah, got you. I'm not going to tell him either. Well, he might listen to this, but I'm going to tell him I'm working with you, dude. And I'm gonna be like, hey, let's go on the track, man. I've been hitting the gym a little bit.
Dabbling.
See what you got.
Yeah. That's awesome, Josh.
So where do you, like, what's your like goal as far as like the business is concerned? Like, what are your like, I know you're training other people, but is that because that's your passion? Like you want to get people to like be optimal, or like, how'd you get into training?
As far as like why I like coaching?
Yeah, for sure. So like you were a football player and then you got into powerlifting and then into sprinting, but like, is it like, you think that's your passion is coaching and training?
I say if anybody who's been following me knows that I say passion perpetuates purpose.
Right. And
for me, my passion is speed. And how do we know that we're passionate about something? Well, it's pain. Passion literally translates into pain, suffering, agony, right? There's a reason why the movie was called The Passion of the Christ.
Right.
So it's like you love something so much that you're willing to suffer for it. But I would say that my purpose is definitely paying it forward. Right? That's my why. And so when children and youth athletes come into our facility, that is 99.9% what they want. They want to get faster.
Yeah.
So that's the external. That's their external issue that they're dealing with.
Right.
So we use speed, our passion, as our vehicle to pay it forward to them and really change their lives. Set them on a totally different trajectory. Literally, right? Because our biggest population right now, Josh, is middle school girls. And that's a trying time for them.
Why middle school girls and not like high school dudes like trying to get scholarships and shit, you think?
Because it's just, with high school boys, they're unfortunately drug into the weight room by their coaches. They have that camaraderie thing going on. And I can go on a huge spiel about what my feelings about that.
Please do. No, I want to hear it because I played football my whole life.
Yeah.
And like looking back, you can look back in hindsight and be like, fuck, man, if I would have known then what I know now, like it'd be a game changer.
Yeah, well, it's fucking bullshit, right? Yeah. What a high school football coach does to our children these days, right? Like, it's even his name, like high school football coach. Okay, you are not a strength and conditioning professional, motherfucker. Like, so why, like, do you think you can just teach a kid how to get under a bar? Like, right? Like, no, like we wouldn't let a guitar player do dental work on us.
Right.
So, like, when I talk about staying in your fucking lane,
yeah,
right? It's at the very least, it's unprofessional, and then at the most, it's dangerous oftentimes, right? Because they don't know what they don't know. And now, like, dealing with more and more parents in the industry, of especially some of our kids, or the coaches as well. I'm actually thinking that they're not unconsciously incompetent. I'm thinking, Josh, that they are consciously incompetent. They know that they don't fucking know,
right?
But they don't want to fucking admit it.
Yep.
Because then there's an admission of guilt.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's even fucking worse than being unconscious. They're conscious. They don't know what they don't know. I mean, they know what they don't know, but they don't want to look themselves in the mirror like, you know what? I think I'm actually the reason why my kid has gotten some overuse injuries because I'm having her play softball year fucking round. Right.
Yep.
So yeah, that strikes a nerve with me because I love children.
Yeah, for sure.
I love working with children. So, I mean, we talk about the passion perpetuates purpose thing, right? So, like, middle school girls, definitely, they're why we get more of them than we do everybody else. It's, they're more driven than a boy at that age.
Yeah.
They're more willing to be coached, right? Where a 13-year-old boy might be worried about being the alpha male in the room. A 13-year-old girl might be more concerned with just doing it right. She'll look at you and say, did I do that right? And say, yeah, sweetheart, you did. You did that great. And their hearts are as big as the day is long.
Yeah. Right.
They have just as big as impact on you as you do them, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and it's you get to, like I said, it's trying times with everything going on with their anatomy during that time, middle school girls, and everything socially as well. Like, middle school girls are mean to one another. So if we can be, the bright spot in their day for 2 times a week, and that's a huge win. It's not uncommon for parents to come up to us and be like, hey, ever since Madison has started with you, she's actually more of a pleasure to be around. Right. Stuff like that. Like, and then the girls see themselves change. Yeah. Right. They graduate from using a kettlebell to a trap bar for deadlifting. I mean, that's a huge confidence booster for a middle school girl these days. Sure. And, there's you develop relationships with these kids. I mean, there's one girl that there's one, there's a lot of middle school and high school girls that have really impacted me as a coach. And one of our middle schoolers, her name is Ellery, and she has my heart, man. She's awesome. If I close my eyes and wait 4 years, Ellery will be picking her school. Yeah. But she's an amazing athlete, but an even better person. Yeah. And to see her and many other young girls come and change within our program, it's I think Vernon Griffith said that there is nothing scarier than a young woman who is confident and comfortable in her own skin, because it is that young woman who will go and change the world.
It's a trip.
Passion perpetuates purpose.
I like that, man.
All right.
Is that your quote, or is that from somebody?
No, I made that shit up.
Did you really?
Yep.
I like that, man. I like that.
Need to make that a shirt.
Perpetuates purpose. Mm-hmm. You should, man.
I should.
It's totally good. I like that a lot, man. And looking on it, like we are talking about like the football and stuff like that, because it was one of the things I grew up playing, since I was 8 years old, right? So we started tackle football at night. I was 6. So 1987. And like, I don't think any of these coaches, like you said, I don't think maybe they did know what they didn't know, but like, you're just out there, you're playing football. I had pads, helmets. I mean, I don't know how hard we're hitting each other at that age, but it's still an impact sport, and you're still running into people and doing shit. You don't know what the hell you're doing.
You get in a car crash or you play.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So then I remember in high school, I was telling my wife this the other day, like my freshman year, we're doing like hitting drills where it's like, you have one guy, lined up on one side, another guy on the other side, and you just run full speed at each other, And you always look at the line and you see like, okay, who am I going up against? Okay, cool. Like, let's get ready for this shit, And so I was going up against my buddy Tony, and and Tony and I are still friends to this day. And he's a big mammal. I mean, the dude is a big kid, man. He's a big man now, but like he in high school was just bigger than everybody since like grade school all the way through junior high and high school. I mean, he's just a big guy. And so I see him and I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm going against Tony. And I was a hard hitter, so I wasn't like scared of it. It was just like, dude, he's a lot to take down. And he was the one running and I was the one tackling. I'm like, shit. So I run full speed at this guy. And I tell him I blame him for all my back problems. But anyway, so I run full speed and I put my head down and I put the top of my helmet like right into his stomach. And then everything just goes like numb and limp, like my legs, my arms, like everything, and I just dropped like to the floor. I'm like, I was jacked up. And so then I kind of just recovered, I think, because I was young. I still was, there's still some, I don't know. When you're younger, you just recover better, I guess. I was in a lot of pain though. And then the next year playing football, I couldn't put my right foot in front of my left. And it would just shoot down my leg and shit. So I'm like, dude, is this normal? Like, what's going on? So I'm going to the chiropractor. I'm doing all this shit. And I look back on that and I'm like, dude, like, what were the coaches thinking? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, the hitting techniques were not, they should have never allowed me. There was other players playing like that, you know what I mean? Where you're spearing people and shit like that. And it's like, fucking idiot, dude. Keep your head up. There were some coaches that knew what the hell they were talking about for sure. And I think my high school football coach, my head football coach on varsity, and one of my linebacker coach, Dave Kerr, they knew like how to proper tackling techniques and shit like that. As far as like weight training and things of that nature, and strength and conditioning. I don't know how much they knew or what their expertise was. But looking back on it, it's like, dude, I don't know. Were we lifting proper? Were we like running properly? I know in high school on varsity, like we ran more than anything. You know what I mean? Like we were always on the track. And I think that was a product of being a bunch of like really good, talented athletes for the area. But we didn't have the size. We weren't big kids. You know what I mean? We were just like, whatever. So he's like, well, okay, if we can't like beat you with size, we're going to beat you with conditioning. So we were like the best conditioned team probably in the whole entire valley, We would always be losing in the first half and come back and crush in the second half just because nobody could keep up. Right. But yeah, I don't know, man. Looking back on that, it's like, fuck, man. That would have been cool if we would have had a strength and conditioning coach, to come in there and help us out, or a speed coach come in there and help us out. How good could we have been, Yeah,
it makes too much sense.
But that's what you got to wonder. Like these coaches, is it really their fault? Because like at the end of the day, like you're hired to be a head football coach. I don't know how it is in Michigan, but in California, I think if you're a head football coach in California, you have to be like a teacher at the school too. It could be PE, or maybe that's even the football in itself can be like a class or whatever. So you're hired by the district to be that. I don't think the district has the money to hire the other coaches. You know what I mean? I know that the assistant coaches get like a stipend. I think it's like a $3,000 stipend to come and coach. Actually, the high school that I went to, they had an opening for an assistant coach, and I was like, fucking sign me up. You know? The demographic has changed dramatically where I grew up. So the talent pool isn't what it once was. But I was like, dude, we can turn this around, And I think that's part of the problem. I'm going to probably go on a soapbox right now, but fuck it. I think that just the drive that kids have nowadays isn't what it used to be. The parents that are out there, I don't think they are teaching their kids the value of grit and discipline and hard work and fortitude and all these things that, like, growing up for me, like my grandma pretty much raised me. But I was a gritty motherfucker, man. Like I like the discipline. I like the hard work. Our coaches, grabbing us by the helmet and, hitting us with their metal whistles on the helmet and like getting your attention. Nowadays, that would never fly, dude. Never. I didn't feel abused. I didn't feel like that was harsh or cruel and unusual punishment. Everybody didn't get a trophy. You got a trophy if you fucking won. There's just a different value placed on on winning there was back in the day. Now it seems like everybody's a winner, you know? And so my son plays flag football and his coach didn't show up the first week. So I was like, anybody want to volunteer? And I'm like, fuck no, you know, I don't want to get involved with this shit. No way. You know, not in this climate. And so my wife was like, dude, what are you doing? Like you played football your whole life. Like get out there and coach, you know? And I'm like, fuck, you know? So like I emailed the coach and said, hey, you know, like if you need an assistant, like let me know. You know, I'll help out. I know you weren't here this week, but I don't know what happened, but let me know. So he emails me back because I actually, I can't make it. My kid doesn't want to play anymore. And I can't make it. So you're the new head coach. Okay. Yes. All right. So the last 2 weeks I've coached my son's flag football team, but it's like every week, like you're supposed to hand out trophies to these kids, like medals and fucking trophies and shit. I'm like, for what?
Yeah. We
fucking lost both weeks, dude. What are they getting a trophy for? And so I purposely don't go to the tent where you're supposed to pick them up, and I just don't go. I'm just not going to do it. You're going to make me go over there and do it. So they sought me out last week and handed me 2 medals, you know, like, oh, these are, I was like, what are these for? Like, oh, these are for, you give these to whichever player respected the referees the most. And I'm like, okay. So then I saw like, I was like, yeah, here you go. You know, like whatever. It's fucking crazy, man. And I think that's part of the problem. And I think in your position, that would probably be frustrating. But at the same time, I think that the athletes that you're having come to you are the ones that are willing to put in the work. And
yeah, they want to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where do you think that shifted? Where did that change, do you think?
As far as just everybody getting soft?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's fucking crazy to me, dude. I don't understand it.
Because my high school coach, and that wasn't even too long ago, my high school senior year was 2008. And, you know, John Nowak was a bad motherfucker. Because he would bang you across the head, but he would cut deep. Like he would like if he knew something about your personal life, he would bring that shit up in a game and practice. And I don't resent him. Because he would either get the most out of you or you would crumble. Right. And that was only 11 years ago. Yeah. So it's shifted quite quickly, hasn't it?
It definitely has. And I don't know where that shift happened or how it happened, but I saw it happening. I mean, now that I'm a dad, I have 4 boys, you know, and it's like my wife and I talk about it all the time, how it's like she hates the term that the future is female. She fucking hates it, you know, because she has all boys, you know. She's like, no, the future is everybody. Why does it need to be the future is female? That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and she's a woman, you know, it's like, that's not right. You know, like, what are you teaching our boys to be soft? Like the idea of masculinity anymore is like, it's frowned upon, you know, to be like an alpha male. It's like, oh dude, oh no, that's being a little too rough around the edges there, buddy.
Right.
But you're right, man. Like my coach was the same way. He would cut deep, hard, you know, but some of the hardest times in my life, whether it be in the military or just life in general, I got through it because of him, you know, and I've told him, like, we've talked, like, I still talk to him to this day. He's actually going to come to my son's next flag football game to, you know, look at the defense for me, you know, check it out, see what we need to make some.
See where the holes are at. See when the run cover 0.
Right. So I told him, I was like, you know, I got to thank you, man, because like, if it wasn't for the shit that he put me through growing up, I probably wouldn't have got through some of the harder times, you know, but it's like, dude, there's nothing anybody could do to me that he didn't already do to me.
Well, it gave you awareness, right?
Oh, for sure.
Of what actually is hard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going through 2 days and going through just the shitty fucking practices, you know, and then after you have like a terrible practice, like get on the line, you know, and you're running sprints, you know, and it's like, fuck, man, like you think you have nothing left in the tank, but it's like, no, you got more. You got more in there, you know? So it taught us a lot. And I was telling him the other day, we had dinner and I was like, you know, what's crazy is that I look at all the guys that started with us, that were on like the starting defense or starting offense. And a large majority of us are all relatively, quote unquote, you know, successful. We all own houses. We've all done well for ourselves. I was like, there has to be some kind of like commonality. There's some kind of like common thread amongst those football players.
A direct correlation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is just the grit and the discipline and the hard work, you know, and willing to put the work in to get what you want out of life. And somewhere, somehow, like you said, 2008, I mean, that was, like you said, wasn't that long ago, but it's shifted since then for sure. It's like, it's so much different. It'd be hard. And it's, as I was telling my wife, I was like, I really don't want to coach. It's not because I don't want to coach my son, like for sure, but I can't be the coach that I think that these kids need though. I'm going to have to pretend to be somebody else, you know, like, oh, okay, everyone gets, yeah, good job. And now it's, no, if you're not listening, like, fuck, you know? So we got home on Saturday. We lost. We were winning in the first half last week and the week before. And we got home last week on Saturday, and my son's like, hey, Dad, are you like pissed off? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm pissed. And he's like, what are you pissed? I was like, dude, I fucking hate losing, dude. You should too. Like, I fucking hate losing more than anything, dude. Like, especially when you're capable of winning. And he's like, it's not that serious. I was like, no, it kind of is, dude. Because it correlates into like the rest of your life. Like, if you just accept mediocrity and accept being a loser, probably just gonna be a loser the rest of your life. And he's like looking at me like, fuck, I'm 12, dude. Like, relax, you know? It's flag football, bro. Like, chill. But I was trying to get my point across to him that like winning should be like a mindset. It should be like you should want to win all the time. And so I told him, I was like, I need your help out there, man. You know, like I'm the coach and you have these other kids that I don't know, you know, but I'm also your dad. So like help me with them. You know, if they're like, say, I want to run this play, I want to do that. Tell them like, dude, my dad's a coach. Let him coach, you know? Because that's part of the problem is like, I'll be, hey, run this play. Oh, what about this play? What about, it's like,
how about you shut the fuck up?
Yeah. That's what I want to say. But it's like, yeah, I said shit, you know, on the field, you know, and I was like, in the refs right there. And it's like, oh, you can't cuss, you know? I'm like, oh, fuck, you know? Yeah, right. Oh, fuck, you know? I keep cussing, dude. It's bad. It's bad. So what's the, enough of my shit. What do you see yourself like doing like in the future? Like what's your big like plan? So you have the business, you have guys, you have girls and guys coming to you to like develop their speed and stuff like that. Where do you see that going?
Well, you know, I mean, if you've ever read the book Traction, they talk about accountability and organizational charts. Yeah. I basically just, as far as Freak Factory is concerned, I want, like I said, I want my staff to be empowered to not need me. I want to sit at the top in the visionary role, just thinking about big problems. What's, you know, get a monthly scorecard from my integrator or general manager, like I told you, I was texting before the show. Yeah. You know, just, hey, this is what we're looking like this month. And I can say, okay, well, you know, keep on keeping on, or let's pivot, go this way, or what does the marketing calendar look like for next month? That's where we're trying to get kids in and all that good stuff. But that's basically all I want my role to be at that point, because
are you hands-on at this point as an owner?
Yeah, I still own a job.
Right.
I'm not a business owner.
Right.
I'm still self-employed.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the fucking problem with that. And it comes down to my own sensitivity and the relationships that have been built with kids. So if people now, when they ask me for advice to open up a gym, I would say you got to do it one of two ways. Stay small, 30 clients or less, so nobody gets their feelings hurt.
Right.
Or have all the fucking pieces in place on your organizational chart, right? Have an integrator, have a director of fitness or performance, have somebody in the admin bucket, sales, retention, client experience, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And they never meet you, so nobody's feelings get hurt.
Right.
Because I don't want you to do what I've done. Starting in the pole barn and getting these athletes and then transitioning to a fully functioning standalone facility. And you develop all these relationships with these kids. But here's the problem. As you grow, as you scale, as you become more successful, you can't always be in the gym.
Right.
You need to be working on it, not in it.
Yep.
And so then what happens? We work with children, right? So then the nails on the chalkboard that hurts my heart that comes out is, where's Hunter? Right? I hear about it from my staff. Where's Hunter? Sammy asked where you were tonight. A lot of yada, yada, yada. So then, you know, a few times that happens, Josh, and then it filters up to their parents.
Right.
And then, then they don't trust me. Yeah. They begin to resent me. Right? Hunter, what are you doing? What's the plan? My kids want Hunter back.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Oh, big time.
That really sucks because, you know, I'm thinking of a particular 8th grader right now. When she first started, her and I were like this. I mean, she's awesome. We were very tight. And then a coach of mine, who was an intern, came in and he was my director of performance and he crushed it. He absolutely crushed it. He was coaching every group and that allowed me to work on the gym and we grew exponentially, Josh. And then, she developed a relationship with him, and I championed that. I'm like, Thomas, that's awesome. Look at so and so. She's really clinging to you, and all that good stuff there. And then Thomas went to join the Navy, and that's when her dad sat me down at Thomas's going away party, Josh, and he said, "What are you gonna do now?" Right. Like, because when my daughter looks at your Instagram, all she thinks you care about is another girl that I was working with one-on-one. So that's free content for me to make right there. Why wouldn't I post about her?
Yeah, for sure.
She's like, all my daughter thinks you care about is so-and-so and sprinting. Like, what are you going to do now? And so I knew right then and there that, these people that, I loved their children as if they were my own. They don't trust me anymore. They don't, like, what are you going to do now? What the fuck do you think I'm going to do now?
Yeah.
I'm going to get a good person in the gym who I have, the young man I told you about. His name's Colton.
Right.
And he's crushing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so this dad sends him a text and says, "Hey, you've been a blessing to our family, yada, yada, yada." And I just wanted to take that text from Colton and send it back to the dad who questioned me. Yeah. And just be like,
yeah,
what did you think I was going to do?
Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do now?
For sure.
And that, it seems small. And this next thing seems small, but like, there was a picture of the 8th grader that I was talking about just now when we were really tight. A couple years ago, we took a picture on my birthday. She was hugging me, and it was on our Instagram.
Yeah. If
you go to her Instagram now, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So you can say, "Oh, Hunter, come on, she deleted a picture. Like, get over it." Like, my dude, like, for a 13, 14-year-old girl to do that, there's some emotion behind that.
Yeah. For sure.
No matter how small she consciously went in there, right?
Yeah.
And made an emotional, and she's been affected by it, by me not being in the gym. She doesn't fuck with me anymore.
So right? What is that like for you? Like, what do you want to fix that? Do you want to get to a point where it's like, it sounds like, as I would too, like you take it personally, it's like, hey man, like this is your business, this is your livelihood. And it's like, and you have a vested interest in these kids. So how do you shift that? How do you like get to a point where it's like, you stop caring, or like, you want to get to a point where it's like, you have coaches they have the knowledge that you do. So you're passing that knowledge down, and they have the ability to train, the same way that you would. Mm-hmm. But then that takes the personal aspect out of it. Right.
Yeah. So, what do you do? It's, the plan is right now to just to, continue to grow and empower the coaches so that, hopefully nobody knows who I am. So then that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
Right. Because I want to go out there and, whether it's in Arizona or wherever the wind blows me, I want to get in front of coaches to help with their athletics speed programs because,
right.
And that's why, so they can help children as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I like helping children. It's, they give us the chance to be better than we ever were.
Definitely. Yeah. Right. You can look at that and be like, man, look at this kid, man. If I would have had this coach when I was that age, shit.
Yeah. I wish I had me when I was my age, when I was their age.
Yeah, for sure. What's the cost associated with training with a coach like you? Like, what's the investment
at Freak Factory?
Yeah.
It's between $175 and $325 a month.
That's not that bad.
No, it's about $21 a session, and you get people that golf at it, and they're like, "Oh, what? Like
that's high?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is Dutch around here.
You said $21 a session.
People are like, "Oh, that's a little expensive for a 12-year-old." Like, okay, you come in here and try to teach her fucking ass how to deadlift, dude. That takes hands-on, serious coaching to get a girl to get any young person to hinge properly at the hips,
right?
Rather than having their back look like a fucking question mark.
Not just young people, old people too.
Right?
Like I know when I was learning how to hip hinge, with all the back surgeries and shit like that, like learning how to properly do it was like, it's challenging, man. If you've never actually thought about the process, it's challenging for sure.
We have this. It's not, they're looking at it as an expense rather than an investment,
right?
We have an absolute stud. We'll never see anything like her again. Her name's Jen. She's going to play soccer at Indiana. Yeah. By the time Jen has gotten done training, she's a junior right now. She might enroll early in January. Yeah. Her parents will have spent upwards of $10,000.
Yeah. Yep.
But she has a full ride to Indiana.
Right.
So I'd say that investment was worth it.
Definitely.
They saved how many thousands of dollars on our education.
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
So
Valuable,
people just need to see the bigger picture, and even if they don't play sports, or play sports in college, it's just you're setting them up to make life easier.
Oh, for sure.
Right, like the awareness piece that we talked about. Like, there's gonna be some times where it's gonna, where you're gonna get under a bar and it's gonna be uncomfortable, but everything else the rest of that day will be that much easier. And it's like, oh, doing math homework isn't so bad.
Right.
I just did up to 315 for 5 today.
Right.
And it sucked. Are
you pushing them at all? Like, do you push them to get past their like comfort zone, if you will?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're trying to. I mean, that's what a coach is.
Do you have free, like, do you have the parents have to sign like a waiver and shit like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I can just see it, like, just in the climate that we're in now, I mean, it's like, oh, you push my kid too hard, and like, and I would fuck that.
Now we're at the point. That's funny. You bring that up. Now we're at the point, like, we have an industrial unit with a garage, big garage door.
Yeah.
I have to tell my staff, like, hey, like, when we're in the weight room, or like once we've moved inside to the R5 portion, what we call it in our session, it's like you gotta close that shit or leave it so they can't see us. Because sometimes parents will sit outside in their car and watch. Right. And that just leaves way too much open for interpretation.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, put that shit down. Right. Because I'm seeing it right. You're gonna get a kid. You're gonna get a parent that's something that, again, they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but they're gonna want you to hear about it.
Right.
Right. So just.
Yeah, you're a better man than me because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the having to hear like parents like chirping in my ear and about like every little detail. It's like, listen, man, like, you're the coach. Right. You're paying me to be the coach. Right. And let me coach. Right. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's got to get frustrating, man. It's got to get frustrating.
I wish I could go Jeff Nichols on him sometimes. Just be like, get the fuck off my floor. Right.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's like, you have a business to run. So you have like part of the deal is like, hey man, that's my livelihood. I got to pay the bills. So you got to kind of play the game, if you will, a little bit. But at the same time, that's got to be like highly frustrating.
Yeah. And the book that's really helped me do that, just that, is Crucial Conversations. Right. Helps you win those battles.
Crucial Conversations. Who's that by?
I'll get it to you when I get back home. It's just a little book, just how to talk when stakes are high.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be one of the questions on the podcast. Actually, I'm gonna ask you, like, what's like your most influential. I'm not gonna ask you right now. Actually, fuck that. We're not talking about that yet.
Yeah. So, but I mean, a lot of. I mean, they give you so many different like templates to choose from. Right. And the one that I always come back to with that one is start with heart, state the facts, come to a shared mutual purpose. So, like, if somebody's bitching about, why isn't my kid on a trap bar yet? It's like, start with heart. Right. Hey, John, I really appreciate you taking the time to reach out to me about Andrew's progress in a program that really shows me that you are staying on top of the investment that you're making in his long-term future. The fact of the matter is, one of our core values is take the stairs. So I don't want to sacrifice any long-term athletic development of Andrew's for some short-term glory. Right. So what do you and I need to do to come to an understanding about Andrew's development here at our time at the gym?
Beautiful.
So just following that little 3-step process, it works.
It de-escalates the situation big time, you know what I mean? And I think it makes the other person kind of feel like an asshole too. Yeah. When they come at you, it's like...
Because I always be like, shut the fuck up! Yeah. Right? But...
yeah, that's how you want to handle it for sure, dude. Mm-hmm. For sure. I can see that, like, I think getting to a point where, like you said, like, you're not as visible, you know what I mean? Where you're behind, like, the scenes.
It has to be that way because it has to be that way because we are in the customer experience business,
right? And
I provide a different experience than the rest of my staff,
right?
And so if they never have an experience with me, then they don't expect that certain experience every time they walk in. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, people like routines. They like to know what they're going to get themselves into day to day. And if they start their fitness journey, if they're an adult, or they start their athletic journey, strength and conditioning journey with Hunter, right, that's going to be a different experience than it would be if they started with Carissa, with Thomas, with Colton, right? So if they never have that moment with me, then they'll never expect. They'll never expect what I provide.
Right.
Right.
Well, there's that, and then I think the other piece of that is maybe your prices are just different. You know what I mean? Maybe your price to work with you personally are just different. because there's a value to that. You know, and if they like training with you, then they're going to need to pay the price to train with you because you're only one fucking person and it's supply and demand, right? So it's like there's a high demand for you, but there's a low fucking supply. So what does that mean? The cost has to go up.
Right.
And I think that's a point where it's like for you, like you have to know your value as a coach, your value as a person. It's like, all right, cool. Like I know I'm valuable, but I'm only one person. I only have so much time in a day. So you got to put a number on that, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah.
Or not fortunately or unfortunately, whatever. But you see that a lot, I think, in business, you know, even if you're in the corporate world, like for me, like being in the elevator business, it was like, I was an account manager, but it's like, dude, I was in operations and I went into account managing. You're working with customers that love working with you because you actually pick up your phone and you actually return emails, which most people don't nowadays. And so then when you take vacation it's like you can never be off because like you have people like hitting you up all like, dude, like I'm trying to get you leave them a point of contact for while you're gone. And then that point of contact doesn't come through for them. You know, it's like, fuck, man. So you get to a point where you've made yourself kind of like too valuable, you know, where it's like, I can never get away from this shit, you know? And it's not it's a good feeling to be valued, you know, to be like, oh, cool. Like people like want me to help them. Cool. You know, it's good to feel needed, but at the same time, you need a break sometimes, you know, you need to get away from it all, you know?
Right.
And if you don't empower the people around you to be able to give the same kind of service that you are, the level of service that you are, then fuck, you're fucked.
Yeah. I keep saying this to myself because there's a gentleman that I work with. I have a call with him later today. It's all about mindset and talking about being grateful and the law of attraction and all that good stuff there. And so I'll literally say to myself multiple times throughout the day, I attract lots of money.
Yep.
Because that's what I want. So then I can take my staff out on a, thousands of dollar trip. Like we're going to Summer Strong. Right. I like that I have the resources to be able to take care of them.
Right.
Right. So why wouldn't I want more of that?
Yeah.
Right. Because if the business grows, if we attract lots of money, then they make lots of money and they have a career, not just a job.
Yeah.
Right.
How's your marketing? What do you guys do for marketing?
Athlete zero. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
All word of mouth. It's, it's marketing for the athletes is, I think it's really, really simple. It's just three things. You have to first be the best. Yep. Right. And then free education. So we'll do free speed clinics, free warm-ups for different soccer clubs or middle school teams in the area. Yeah. And all we ask for them in return is just their email listing to market on the back end. And then the third piece is do the little things. So like we have a scorecard every week and Colton's number every week to meet on that scorecard, Josh, is one client interaction. So going to a game, things like that.
Yeah, that's huge.
So we really, he'll put it out in a story like, hey, Freak Factory athletes, who's got games? I want to come watch them.
That's awesome.
Right. And it's the best part of our job. So we get to go out there and watch them do their thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And you just see all their hard work pay off. Cause I'm not going to sit here and say that I've made Jen Blitchak a better soccer player. No, we've just given her, if you give us a good soccer player, in 8 weeks, we'll give you back a bigger, stronger, faster, good soccer player.
Yeah, for sure.
But to watch those qualities come out in a game and put her foot in the ground and getting vertical at a higher speed than she did before, like that shit's cool. It's really hard for me to watch a fucking game. Yeah. Because I'm just watching movement and assessing.
Yeah,
right. So I just go total fucking nerd. Yeah. But yeah, so that's all. It's also selfishly, I like to go there when watch from a biomechanics standpoint.
No, and it really it's funny because like when you have an athlete or you have a coach, I think it means a lot to the athlete that the coaches are showing up to their games. You know what I mean? It's huge. Because like, look at me, dude. I'm 37 years old. I'm still pumped up at my high school football coach coming to my son's like flag football game. I mean, it's like, it's a big deal, So it's like, I played under him. He taught me a lot. He taught me pretty much everything I know about football. So it's like, all right, cool. Now he's going to come and like critique like my coaching. Like, where am I failing? Like these kids are losing. I know in this league, it's all about like everyone gets a trophy type shit, but I still want to win. So like, where are we failing? Let's figure this out, And it's a big deal. I was like, dude, fuck, my coach is coming.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
like good shit, man. Is there like a shift, or you think there'll ever be a shift in like your marketing plan? Or are you going to keep it the way that it is? You think it's working for you guys now?
For the athlete side, it is working, but we talk about empowerment.
Yeah,
Carissa is passionate about working with adults.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to devote some of our money each month to marketing for her
Right.
and into the adult population.
Right.
Right. I want her to have that opportunity to work with adults in West Michigan and change their lives, because that's the problem with, I mean, we talk about penny pinchers, right? We're not the cheapest gym, and I'm not gonna, try and just be, try and be that, right? Because we're literally just right behind a gym who does, $89 a month for unlimited and all that stuff. What am I gonna do? Go to $80 a month and be unlimited? Like, no, it's a race to the bottom, right? And I know she's worth more than that, right? So, I have 3 business coaches. I've got, Andy McCloy out of Huntsville, Alabama. I've got Jason Bloom. I don't know. I'm not sure where the fuck Jason lives. But
Jason's in Florida.
Okay. Yeah. And then also Tim Lyons out of Scottsdale, Arizona. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to figure out how to crack the adult code, if you will. We're facing an uphill battle for sure. People look at the dollar amount immediately, and we just have to provide that experience that gets them coming back. Because what's the problem with adults, right? They have irrational beliefs, right? They want to see they want results yesterday, right? So they want results yesterday, and what we need to be doing is focusing on the experience to keep them coming back. Because then what happens when they keep coming back? The results they want.
Yep.
Right. So, I'm aware that there's gonna have to be some probably some significant ad spend there.
Yep.
For the adults, and that's okay. If that's what gets closer to her ideal life, then let's do it. So
it's funny. I was talking to the cab driver in Chicago yesterday about that. How he was like, I don't even know how the topic got brought up or whatever. I think he asked me about the podcast and how it got started or something. But I was like, he was saying something about like, what's up with the opioid crisis in this country? And I was like, dude, because no one wants to do the work, bro. That's the problem. He said, what do you mean? And I was like, dude, doctors don't have time. 15 minutes a patient, you know what I mean? They're turning and burning, and nobody wants to do the work. No one wants to do the therapy. And that's across the board. Like you're talking about adults. It's like everyone's so crunched for time because they don't manage their time properly. So they get into a gym and like you said, they expect instant results without doing any fucking work. It's like, that doesn't make sense, dude. And so it is an uphill battle in that respect for sure. Because you are going to have adults in there that not only expect instant results, but they're coming in there with a false narrative. They're coming in there with the story they've been telling themselves forever that probably isn't accurate, at all.
And they never have actually. Well, I shouldn't say never, but most of our adults are older women, moms,
right?
And they rarely have put themselves first, right? They're they're taking care of their children. They're the chaperone most of the time, right?
The taxi.
Yeah, it's like but they will make the Midwest United Soccer Club payment every year. They'll make the Elite Baseball Training Facility payment every year. They'll make their mortgage payments. Like, when the fuck have you made a U payment?
Yeah,
lately. Like,
it's a good point,
right?
And that's probably that's the best way to market it, I think, actually.
Right.
Because I think there are, like, I look at my wife, and that's part of I look at like the hard work that she puts in. When I'm traveling, it's all her, man. Like, she's taking, we have 4 boys, she's taking care of all of them, and that's been a topic of discussion for her, is like, she wants to find like some time for her, some time for like a hobby for her, like things that like she's passionate about, things that she wants to do. Cause I'm in my passion right now. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And it's not like at her expense, not like, oh, well, I'm going to do what I want to do, so you can't do what you want to do. But it's like her finding what that passion is and then going for it, running with it, And I think a lot of moms definitely will relate with that, because like you're absolutely right. A lot of them are like, they'll make the payments for all these other shit, that they're paying for, but they don't make time for themselves. They don't pay for things, invest in themselves, and it's like, you're worth it, man. Do it.
It's like, yeah, it's you only got one body.
Definitely. And it's kind of funny it's so commonsensical, but like,
you're too close to the problem.
Right. Definitely. And it's like, people don't realize that they have all the answers internal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, most of the answers that we seek outside of ourselves are right inside, man. Like,
yeah.
That's it. It sounds airy fairy and whatever, but it's fucking true, dude. It's so true. How did you get linked up with Jeff and Zamie? How did that all work?
Last year, maybe about this time, might've been a week or two before Summer Strong 11. And I was painting. I had a Ford Raptor at the time, and I was painting through my Explore page on Instagram, and I saw this tricked out matte black Raptor I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick. And so I click on, I'm like, Jeff CSCS. Like, who the fuck is that? And, and I'm like, that's a sick truck though. And then a few weeks later, Brandon Lilly is a friend of mine as well. He invited me to Summer Strong. God bless him. And then while I was there, I saw this character walking around. I saw on Instagram, it was Jeff. I'm like, and all I said was, hey, Jeff. Hunter Charneski, nice to meet you. How's that Raptor working out for you? I have one as well. Do you like it? And then from there, the rest is history, right?
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, we started following each other, and he saw that I provided value to him in a realm that he would probably tell you that he's not as well versed in. Right. Like I'm like, as far as the speed stuff goes. Right. And so he invited me out to his house in September of last year. Yeah. And he's been nothing but a blessing ever since. Talk about guys giving too much, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Him, Brandon. I mean, they're too good to me. They really are, as they are to many others. Right. They just give and give and give. And Zamia, we met her. Because she lives in San Diego, doesn't she?
No, Santa Monica.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, when we were staying at Gunnar Peterson's house when Jeff and I were over in LA in November, and then she drove down for one night.
Super cool.
We just hung out, and Jeff
incredible humans, man, both of them.
Yeah, Jeff loves Vietnamese food, so we just we
like kimchi.
Yeah, we just pigged out that night, and then Zamia treated me with her fucking magic pen. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And then, and she's been helping me with my nutrition for speed sprinting.
So. It's fucking awesome, dude. Jeff and Zamia both are incredible human beings. And it's kind of cool because I see you take Star Spangled Subs too. So fucking awesome, dude.
Shameless plug. Yeah.
Shameless plug. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're great. Adam's a good guy.
Adam's a great guy, man. I'm a huge believer in it, man. Big time. And I take it, every day.
I take it before I love it. I mean, I'll just do 4 drops of the new Black Label and then just read some Edgar Allan Poe, and I usually fall asleep with the book on my fucking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I've got to read something like really boring or dark, right. Because if I read like Buying Customers 2.0, then my brain will be like fucking right. Really busy when I'm trying to fall asleep. But if I read The Telltale Heart, I'm like, okay. All right. Out.
For sure. Mm-hmm. So what's the end game for you? Like, what would be your ideal? Like if you could envision, like you said, like you're attracting money. It's like, no, money comes easily. It flows easily to me. And like, you're attracting that money. Like if you can envision like where you're like, this is the exact setup that you want, what would that be? Where would that be and why?
Yeah, it would probably be in this place called the Shades of South Mountain. In Arizona, in South Mountain, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix. Oh. They call it the Sage. It's a little studio with a one stall garage. Yeah. Condominium there, and it's a perfect setup. It really is. It's garage is just big enough so I can have a sick home gym like Brandon and Jeff do. Yep. And then literally, Josh, I can walk outside my driveway. There's a stone fence. Hop right over to it. Full size flat field, right fucking there. Yep. To do all my workouts if I work with people or shoot content, right there, and that's in Arizona. That would be a really good setup. As far as like what I'm doing, it's the consulting. It's helping people build their as far as the consulting stuff goes, I say that I help strength coaches learn speed. Right. So helping more people feel that need for sure. Because people just don't know. I was the worst culprit. I would just see something that Joe DeFranco posted. No disrespect to Joe, I just see something that Joe DeFranco posted on Instagram. Like, oh, that's fucking sick. We're gonna throw that in for our speed when we're the speed workout today. Just have no rhyme or reason behind it. As far like the people don't have the means, the systems, the principles for speed, but they have it for everything else in their program. Yep. Right. Like so they'll say like. Just like I talked, the in-service I did for Ross this past weekend. He's like, man, this is eye-opening because we would never just have somebody get under a bar and back squat their first day, right? They have to show us that they're proficient in their body weight with kettlebells, double kettlebells, right? Yeah. There's a progression, but we never did that for speed, right? So that's a huge need right now for most strength coaches, especially in the private market. And then, like I said, just being the visionary, overseeing everything that's going on at Freak Factory, getting the scorecard every month, just say, hey, keep doing what you're doing, or hey, I think we need to pivot, go this way for the next month or so, and then just visit here quarterly to meet with the team, let them know I still care about them, and then still want to be obviously around in their lives, and so I can take care of them. Right. And all that good stuff. And who knows, maybe one day I empower one of my coaches enough to just buy it outright from me.
Yeah.
Right. And because I'm not that prideful. We're like, oh, I need to be the fucking owner of Freak Factory. Like, no, if you can do it better, then please do.
What's the what would be a cost for not only the cost but the time commitment to take somebody like, I'll use myself as an example. Not a runner, never have been a runner. That's my story. Mm-hmm. But I know that I have the capability there.
Yeah.
So what would the cost be associated with like doing a private session for somebody that wants to develop their speed and
like my hourly rate
or like, and how much time do you think it'll take like to get somebody to where it's like because I know like with Jeff, right, you can do private personal training with Jeff, and like what he does is it like he instills the things that you need to do where you can do it on your own, where it's like, hey, I'm going to teach you the things you need to know. Now you go and you do it, go home and do it. Mm-hmm. And then you come back for like refreshers and stuff like that. So how long do you think it would take for you to like take somebody and be like, hey man, this is, I can get you to where you need to go?
Yeah. Hopefully not nearly as long as it took me. Right. It's taken me a year and a half to be what I would consider myself a legitimate sprinter.
Right.
I've learned a bunch throughout working with Derek. I would say somebody who doesn't know if they're on foot or horseback when it comes to speed and sprinting, to get them to run fast and straight line effectively and safely, I would say short end 3 months. Yep. And then long end 6 months.
And that's like an hourly deal. So what's the hourly on that, on something like that? What would the cost be?
$220 an hour is my hourly rate.
It's fucking dope, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the way forward for you, man. Especially if you go to Arizona, like just doing privates, dude.
Yeah, and it's because it's Derek talks about it being a software problem, not a hardware problem. So people will sit there and be like, I don't know how this guy pulled his hamstring. We did all the Nordics and that we couldn't. It's like, yeah, that's fucking hardware. Right. Where sprinting is a neural activity. It's all in the brain. Right. So if you're running fast, right, and your body and your brain hasn't been there before, right, you're going to have a misstep, pardon the pun, in the neurological recruitment process. Right. So it got nothing to do with all the fucking Nordics. Don't get me wrong. Like, strength is the foundation. You need to have a base level of strength to sprint. Right. But after a while, there's definitely a diminishing return.
Yep. Right.
So yeah, it's just I say there's 3 rules and this is in my free book that you can download on my site. It's short to long, soft to hard, and slow to fast.
Yep.
Right. To getting somebody going, right? All your starts need to be soft in nature, unless you want to have a deformed calf like me, right? Yeah. So I mean, everything very tall in nature. So if I'm not going to put somebody in a push-up start or a track start day one, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Too much stress to the lower extremity to handle that sort of violent overcoming inertia there. Yep. Short to long, so nothing more than 10 meters to start. Again, just for the safety purposes of the hardware, right? Because every time that the foot strikes the ground at 10 meters or less, Josh, the knee will be such a positive angle that there's little to no eccentric lengthening of the hamstring. So you don't got to worry about hamstring tears there. But it's got 2 birds, 1 stone, because strength plays the biggest role in acceleration. Yeah. So you'll be getting them more acclimated to sprinting, getting them faster, and getting them stronger as well, which is a beautiful thing. And then the slow to fast, for this, what we talked about, the brain not being in a place there where it needs to fire as fast as it needs to. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I actually, when I told you I was like, I'm going to get into running. I'm going to start running. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if I was going to start sprinting. Because I definitely want to start running. And I was like, I can hike all day, and I can hike with the best of them. I feel like I'm pretty efficient. But I was like, I don't know if my cardio output, whatever, for running is really that great, because I don't really ever do it. So I was like, well, fucking, I'll start. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. And so my buddy was like, oh, you're going to run around like the neighborhood and show you live in a nice area? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Because I heard what you said about soft to hard. I was like, dude, I am not going to be running on pavement yet. There's a track right by my house, the junior college. I'll go there and start running there first, getting my body like used to like the impact and like just like building myself up, before I start hitting the ground running. pun intended. If you have a guy that's like sitting on the couch, you know, what would your recommendation be for a guy or girl that's like on the couch and you want to get them moving? What would be a good way to start? I know you said soft to hard and slow to fast, but like, what's a good way to like just to get into the groove of things, to be like, all right, let's start building to where you can get to a point where you're a sprinter or you're a runner even.
Yeah. I would just mock drill the living shit out of them. So, marching A's, skipping A's, and then, in place running, just all in place, whether just unplaced or banded,
right,
with the band tethered to a rack. I have those downloadable programs. I have a GPP runs program, and there's no running in it. It's just all mock drills, right, and in place, and then moving forwards, and then with some overload with a sled partner or a band. And that's not even like a plug. Like, go buy my program. No, it's because I don't make anything off those. That's just fucking smart and safe. Like you said yourself, like coming on the couch, like no. Right. There's tremendous value. Again, it's too simple. People are like, it's too simple. I'm not gonna fucking do that. Right? It works. Right. But those drills, those A drills, A march, A skip, A runs. That's exactly what they were invented for by Gerard Knock, who was the famous Polish sprint coach. Right. And he came over to coach in Canada. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that in the winter, you know, Canada probably not ideal to sprint outside. So what the fuck are we gonna do? So then that's when he came up with his A's. And then, so they would do that all winter long, indoors, with limited space, right? And then when it got warm outside, things would transfer nicely when they went to the track.
Yeah. That's legit, man. It's funny, you know, you look at guys and girls that are like, most of the time we're sitting down nowadays. Everyone's like sitting, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you prevent, like I said, going from the couch to the track? What's the best way to prevent like injuries? Is like building that foundation, like building like, from starting from, you know, just doing in place everything to like working your way onto the track. And how did a guy like you, how do you injure yourself? How did you injure yourself, and how do you prevent that from happening? What's the best way to prevent that, I guess, if you will? Because I think injuries are inevitable if you're putting that much like impact on your body, but what's the best way to avoid it?
Yeah. I mean, you have to look at the surface you're riding on as well as the footwear.
Right.
So those are two big pieces that are often overlooked.
Yep.
Right. Like a coach, you know, who maybe doesn't, you know, hasn't ripped themselves apart like myself. Right. They'd say, all right, let's go on the track today. Like, okay, hold on. What? Right. So there's definitely a progression that needs to be taken, just like anything else in training. Look at that. Right. Yep. So the surfaces, right, they would also need to go from a soft, unstable surface to more stable, hard surfaces. So when you're first starting out, or somebody's like, well, they want to do some things, right? And I would say that we would probably do all the A's and sand first. It's more force dispersion on each time you impact the ground, right? It's not a very reactive surface, right? If you throw a basketball into a sand pit, it's going to stick there. Right. There's nothing elastic about the surface. Yeah. And that's what I would like. And that's great for somebody who's gotten hurt and they need to ease their way back, or somebody who's just, you know, really, we need to slow cook this process. And then your Derek's mentor, Charlie, would say that it's actually strengthening the tendons and ligaments for the more elastic efforts to come later on, just due to all the massive blood flow to the region. Right, it's gonna be a muscular endeavor, not a connective tissue and ligament one, due to like I said, the force dispersion there.
Right.
So once they were able to handle, and we've gotten proficient with everything being done on sand, progress them to grass. Same thing there: wash, rinse, repeat. Progress them to turf, wash, rinse, repeat, and then finally to the most elastic and violent surface, which would be the track.
Yeah.
And as far as what's on their foot, I like the Brooks Levitate. I think they're awesome. Those are awesome. It's a huge heel support. So you're taking a lot of that stress off of your Achilles and your lower and your calves.
Yep. Right.
It's not like a track spike where there's zero drop. Right. Yep. And all of that's just getting absorbed by your Achilles. From there, progress just with a cross trainer, and then you can go to a cross country flat. I like the cross country flats, Josh, because they're very flexible in the forefoot. In the forefoot, they're not nearly as stiff like a track spike, right? And then you could finally go to, a track spike if you so choose. But I mean, it's extensive.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't want to hurt yourself, you want to do it right. Yeah. Right.
Does this translate into long distance running? So like you're sprinting, but like, would you be able to run like a couple miles, no problem?
I would say that I wouldn't bother running distance until you can run fast first.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
It comes back to the speed reserve.
Yeah.
Which is the higher your maximal output is, or max velocity, the higher your submax velocity will be for longer durations. Right. So like, what the fuck does that mean? You can use a NASCAR for an example. What are the NASCAR's top speed? 250, 260. But what do they travel at the Daytona? Around 130, maybe. Right. For 500 miles. Well, how are they able to do that for 500 miles? Because their max output is so high, right? It's almost double what they're traveling at, right? So 130 is such an easy thing for that engine to accomplish, right? Yeah. If we need a human example, there's a guy named Dennis Kimetto who was the world record holder for the marathon. Josh, he ran it in 2 hours and 2 minutes. Right. So if we want to, So if we want to unpack that, right? That's like 4-minute miles, which means it's like 45-second quarter miles. And what the interesting thing about Dennis is he actually still ran an 11-second 100-meter dash.
Wow. So
that right there, I would say, is enough proof in the pudding for the speed reserve, definitely. Right? 'Cause, I mean, the faster we can run, right? Your operational output will be that much easier to be accomplished, and you can sustain it for longer periods of time there. So can I run a couple miles for sure? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit, man. If you had one book or one person or both that inspired you the most your entire life, what would that book be, and who would that person be, and why?
The book would probably be The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just that book is a real kick in the ass. It really just makes you want to get up and go. It makes you want to get up and go, Josh, and it's inspiring to somebody who maybe has imposter syndrome. Right? They're like, well, what do I have to offer? You have a lot to offer, actually, right? And the sad thing is that breaks my heart. It's like I wish more people read that book, because there's somebody out there, maybe even over this outlook as we're looking at right now, that has the cure for cancer, but they're afraid to share it because of this imposter syndrome that they have.
Yeah.
Right. And so when somebody would say, well, what do I have to contribute? Or I'm nobody. Like, no, like I'm no more than you. You're no less than I. And selfishly, how dare you don't contribute? Because I want to know what you got.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great point.
And then as far as the who, you said there's the who inspired you?
Who inspired you the most?
for a sprinting or just in general?
Just in general.
That's tough. Who inspired me the most? Probably, it would probably have to be Derek. Yeah. I met Derek 3 years ago at a conference in Indianapolis, and he took the time to talk to, some meathead. I was still very into powerlifting at that time, about speed. And he's totally changed. He's totally changed my life. He absolutely has. Right. He ignited the fire in me that I didn't know I had. Right. I had no idea that I loved speed.
Right.
Right. I had no fucking idea.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I love to move big weight at a very slow speed. Right. So, but the more I work with Derek, the more I listen to him present, it's all applicable to what I can use to, like I said, to work with children more or help people who want to work with children. Right. He's had a very big impact in a very short amount of time. Yeah. I've known him less than 3 years.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's good shit. If you had one lesson that you wish you could teach the younger hunter, so you don't have to go some of the heartaches you may have experienced in your life. And you could teach that to somebody else. What would that lesson be and why?
Stop caring what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much suffering in imagination than actual suffering.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we go, I don't go out very often, but let's see if we can see it around here. There's this place called the Bob. It should be, it's very close by,
right?
But there's a club at the top. It's called Eve. It's like the only EDM nightclub in the city. Okay. And when we go there, and everybody sees Aquaman just fucking getting it in the dance floor, like my coaches or my friends would be like, "How do you do that?" Like, because I don't give a fuck. That's why would I care about what somebody else is thinking? Like, what a prison to lock myself in somebody else's head.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of that. And you see that, and that's where I think we as coaches can have a really big impact on children, because there's a lot of that. I mean, look at social media. I mean, everybody, all those kids at that age, right, doing it for posting for validation or reading too much into what somebody's story says. Like, oh, are they talking about me? Like, even if they are, who cares?
Right.
Right.
When did you learn that? Like, at what point in your life did you get to that point where it's like, I just don't give a fuck what everybody thinks? Because I think you have to walk a fine line, right? Because like for me, I think I'm there in my life, or I'm definitely getting there where it's like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, you can hate me, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to stay in my lane and do what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can hate on me for it. You can say I'm a piece of shit. I don't care. Like, as I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table. That's it, and I'm cool with that. But that took a long fucking time to get there. I'm 37, dude. And like, I think maybe up until I was like probably 35, dude, I was still like worried about what other people thought, and I wasn't, I actually went to a therapist that told me like, you're compromising your values for other people. Like, because you're worried about what other people are thinking. So you're compromising your values, which you're creating so much internal turmoil because it goes against your values, what you're doing. I was like, fuck, you're right, dude. I was trying to appease other people and like keep people happy and try to, keep the balance, like what it needed to be. And internally I was fucked, like I had so much anxiety and so much other issues going on. And a lot of that was self-induced, man, big time. So where do you think you got to that play? When did you learn that? And how did you learn that?
I told you I was transparent through using psilocybin and LSD.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. I originally would do that because and the reason why I would do it is so I could get to a place of comfort where I could just let myself go and dance and have a good time.
Yep.
But now I don't need those things to do that. Because, Jeff calls those things like hard resets.
Oh, for sure.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I mean, when you're in that flow state and you're thinking in, your third eye, it almost gives you when you're in that state. It's like, yeah, why am I am suffering for, nothing. Like, why did some of the things matter that I think do, right? And with me, I wouldn't say that I have had an easy history, but I certainly have. I would say that I've had a hard history, but I certainly haven't had an easy one. And so you look back, it's like, Hunter, you are giving the past too much credit.
Yep, I think a lot of us do, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're stuck in the story that we've told ourselves for a long time, And I think we're all guilty of it. And I'm a huge believer in psychedelics and the value that they bring to the table.
Well, it means mind revealing, literally, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's such a trip,
Yeah.
I was so scared of it my whole life, dude. Like, so scared of like having that experience because I don't want to be removed from reality. Or whatever I thought was reality,
Yeah, maybe that is reality.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, I was so afraid of it. And I remember the first time I did psilocybin, it was like a game changer for me.
Oh yeah.
Like I had got into this place of, and some will say it's naive, some will say it's, whatever. I don't give a fuck though. Where I felt invincible. I felt like I was in such a good flow state that I was untouchable. Like no negativity. It was like, it was bouncing off of me. Like there was nothing that could bother me. Like I was like, dude, I'm good. You know, like I would leave. Like I remember I was at a restaurant and I left my phone on the table or something like that. Maybe my wallet. I don't know. And I was talking to another person, having like a great conversation with them. And one of my buddies was like, dude, your wallet and your phone is like right over there on the table. You know, I was like, no one's going to bother, man. No one's going to take my shit. Why would they? You know what I mean? Like that's so funny
sense. You say that. Yeah, there's been times when we've been to Eve and I've been this, and I was dating this one girl. She's actually in town right now. Her name's Mary Kate. She's a really good person. But like we were out, and I was just like, here, put this in your fucking purse, and then 4 hours, and then check in 4 hours. Like it just doesn't care. Yeah. Like why do I care about what the hell that thing has to say?
Yep. For
right?
Sure.
But yeah, awareness. You know, because there was a lot of suffering going on when I first was like, man, can I go to Arizona? Like there's going to be a lot of people here that need me, that I've developed a relationship with, like Ellery.
Right.
She made that. Like, you know, what am I going to do if, you know, she doesn't have Hunter here anymore? And like my staff, there was a girl that I was dating at the time, and Brandon just looks at me across the table without missing a beat, Josh, and he goes, "Noble excuses."
Right.
Like, oh, she's like, damn. Like, yeah, if that isn't the truth. Right.
For sure.
A noble excuse. That's all. I mean, it's crass, but it's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And you're living, you're not living for you. You're living for other people. You know what I mean? At that point, you know, it's like, you're not living for what you want. You're living for wherever you feel other people need from you, you know? And, fuck, that's no way to live. You know what I mean? Like, I think someone posted about this the other day. It's funny. You were talking about the suffering that we go through as like, it's all internal, you know, we create it. How it's like you have a conversation. I'll have an argument with my wife, like in the shower. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really have the fucking argument, but I'm like in the shower thinking about all the things she's going to say, and then what I'm going to say, and then what she's going to say, and then what I'm going to say, and how this whole conversation is going to go. And then you get yourself so worked up about this shit. It's like, it's not even going to go down like that, dude. You just made that story up and you created all that suffering for what?
Exactly.
And it's funny that the journeys we go down, right? Like where I feel like, okay, I started the podcast, I'm meeting all these incredible people, you being one of them. And it's like, and then you learn new things. You know, you learn about a new book, or you learn about a new idea. You learn about a new way of doing things. I met a guy, he hit me up on social media, and he was talking about the healing benefits of psychedelics for veterans that are suffering with PTSD. I was like, dude, how fascinating is that shit, dude? Like I'm so intrigued by it. And now like he reached out to me, and now we're going to do a podcast and we're going to talk about it, you know, and more, it's going to bring it to the awareness of more people, that it's not like some hippie fucking bullshit that everyone, I just want to be fucked up and just get away from reality for a little bit. You know, it's like, sure. Is there an element of that? Definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
But there's also healing properties to it, man, that people that are suffering, truly suffering, can get a relief from.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you don't wake up with the flu the next day like you do with like alcohol.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That was part of the deals that I stopped drinking about 1.5 years ago. And, you know, everyone's like, oh, like, were you like a rager? Were you like raging alcoholic? No, not at all, man. I was never like a rager. Okay. So most of the things I've done in my life that I regret were when I was intoxicated, for sure. Like if I look at the worst things I've ever done in my life, I'd say a large majority of them were under the influence. So with that being said, I was like, dude, I got to remove things from my life that don't serve me anymore. And that was just one of them. It was like, cause I would wake up from fucking being hammered, and I'm a waste of a life for it, definitely the next day, maybe even 2 or 3 days after. You know, it's like I can't think properly. My thinking's all clouded. My anxiety's through the roof. I'm all shaky, dehydrated, feel like shit. Like, why am I doing this to myself? This doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's a poor attempt on our part, because I mean, I used to drink professionally, right?
Right.
It's a poor attempt on our part, Josh, I think, to find the inner self.
Yeah. Right.
And that's something that Stephen Pressfield talks about in the War of Art, like I mentioned. It's like, why do we call it getting wasted, getting plastered, destroyed?
Yeah.
Because it's like we don't like what we see in the mirror at 9:30 p.m. on Friday night.
Yep.
So let's try and find this inner self by just, you know, going this further in the opposite direction.
Right.
We probably should be going.
Definitely.
Right.
What do you? What's your take on alcohol for your athletes? Like, is it like you tell them like, hey, refrain from it, or is it, you know, personal choice? Like, what's your take on it?
I don't work with anybody old enough to drink.
But what about when you do?
Right.
You will.
Yeah. I would just say don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Because I played college football and I had some success, and I would, just go and get absolutely obliterated. And you just need to be collecting data along the way. It's probably what I would tell them. Right. Just be very aware and collect data, because I used to wonder why, after getting shit faced the entire weekend, and then I come in the middle of June for summer workouts on one day, and we power cleans for 5, and my numbers weren't nearly as good as they were last week when I didn't drink. Like there's a correlation there with your performance. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just like, collect data and just be aware.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's anything to like clear alcohol being better than colored. I don't know. Yeah. I've heard people say that as far as like the sugar contents and stuff like that.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of it to me was, I don't judge anybody that drinks at all. I don't really give a fuck. If you want to drink. I'll still go to bars and hang out with you. I just, if that's where we're hanging out, I kind of try to avoid those places. But if I do go, it's like, I don't have an issue with it. It's like, I'll drink water or fucking seltzer or whatever. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Probably just either DM me on Instagram.
Right.
It's probably the best way.
What's your handle?
At Hunter_Charneski, CHARNESKI. Yeah, or you can go to my website, charneskipower.com. But I'd say that most of the contacts come through DM rather than email.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit, man. Well, dude, I appreciate the shit out of you, man, for being willing to do this podcast and share your story and kind of where you're heading. I really hope that you end up in Arizona, because selfishly, you'll be closer to me, and there is a chance that I can maybe sell the wife on going to Scottsdale. Because like I told you with the back, and like, going through a couple of winters in the Pacific Northwest probably isn't going to feel too good. But Scottsdale is like a good place, I think, to go for healing. It's like that dry heat. There's something about it. There's something to it.
Oh my gosh.
That's why a bunch of old people and retired people move there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Or we could go up and get weird in Sedona.
Totally, bro.
Yeah.
I think I may or may not have a trip scheduled with Adam and Joshua Tree this June. We'll see how that goes. But,
right.
Nah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man, and I think you have so much value to bring to the table. Not just for me as a person from what I just learned, but also for the people you're working with. And should I ever find myself in Arizona, or if you find yourself in Arizona, we'll definitely be linking up, no doubt about it. In Sedona or wherever, we'll do it up. So thank you so much, man. If there's anything that I can ever do for you, by all means, you got a brother for life, man. Reach out.
All right. Vice versa to you, Josh.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you.
Later.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.